Welcome. Thank you for joining today's press viewing of Adea's new furniture line or business line, Adea Smartworks. My name is Hanna Nova Beatrice. I'm the moderator of this digital event where we will look at Smartworks' first two pieces of furniture. As most of you know, Adea is a Finnish company, mainly famous for its upholstered furniture, which they produced for the last 25, almost 26 years. Founded this year was Adea Smartworks, which is launching now, as a direct result of the pandemic and the new needs in our society. So today we will launch the two first products. We will watch a few small films. And we will finish the day with discussing the new office of today. And I have a great panel with me, Lena Lid-Falkman, researcher of the modern workplace at Stockholm School of Economics, and Sonya Simmonds, head of workplace at Spotify. But let's start looking at the first product that is launching today by designer Alexander Lervik.
My name is Alexander Lervik and I'm a Swedish designer. This is Cabinet, a completely new kind of furniture. In April, I was contacted by one of my producers, Adea, regarding a brief on a brand new product. Adea had received support from the Finnish state to develop products during the corona pandemic. The brief I received was about solving the problems around the workplaces in the homes that do not at all meet the requirements for ergonomics. I started sketching and quickly came to the conclusion that I wanted the opportunity to place my furniture in the middle of the room, for example behind a sofa, to get a nice view out over the living room. One of the major problems described when working from home is that when the family comes home, they want to be able to quickly get rid of the day's work and close the workplace. We had this in mind and found smart solutions, for example, the computer lift that makes the entire computer automatically disappear into the tabletop. If you have a laptop, there is another version with a box under the table. To fulfill all the parts that makes it an ergonomic workplace, we brought in a physiotherapist in the project. Of course, the height adjustable table is an important factor, but also the depth of the table and the fact that you can sit and fit your knees and feet in the right way. Our table is based on a height of 69 cm in the lowest position, so that all those who are a little bit shorter can work in a proper way. And finally, Cabinet also works perfectly in other environments, like offices that needs an extra workspace, or hotel rooms where ergonomic workplace now can be offered. And since Adea is a company where quality comes first, we have built the furniture according to the requirements of the public environment.
Welcome back to the studio. Hope you enjoyed the small movie. I'm standing here next to Cabinet, which was presented in the movie, and designer Alexander Lervik.
Hello.
Wow, what struck me in all this was how quick both the Finnish state and the company and you responded to this new need. What were your thoughts in April when they contacted you?
Yeah, first I also was amazed that the Finnish state acted so quickly, and that was because of that the Finnish law made it possible for Business Finland to act that quick. And then, of course, Adea were spot on from the first moment and gave me a brief that was telling exactly what I needed to do. And also I were really quick because I sent my first idea of a hand sketch in the 15th of April. And we saw the first prototype in June, and then we showed it for the first time for the retailers, some of the retailers, already in mid-October. And the response were fantastic. They were really enthusiastic about it.
That's amazing. And how did you think about, I mean, most of the world was still in shock due to the pandemic, not knowing how long it would last. You went straight on designing something that will launch now. What were your thoughts behind the aesthetics? Was it the home you were focusing on?
Yeah, I completely focused at the home because that's where the main position to place it for me. But the interesting part of that is that the last 15 years, I think the contract market and the home market has kind of went closer to each other. So this one will of course function really good in a modern office or in a hotel room or whatever.
So the quality is really adapted for a modern office, but could be used or will be used at home as well.
Yeah, exactly. And because the regulations for the contract market is so much higher that the quality really stand for use in commercial areas. So and we decided to build it from that point of view.
So just a quick note on Adea Smartworks. So that's launching now, as in today. And is that a company that will continue to build on these type of products?
Yes, it is. And we already work with the next release that will come next year. And so we have several other ideas that will fit into this concept.
So, and the concept is office in general or home office?
Home office, first of all. So.
Perfect. Interesting. Yeah. Thank you so much, Alexander.
Thank you.
So we will continue to present the second product of Adea Smartworks, which is designed by Mikko Lakkonen. He's not with us today, but he will present it through a movie as well.
Tämä Focus-kaapin sai alkunsa siitä, että meillä oli Adean kanssa palaveri tuossa suurin piirtein vuosi sitten syyskuussa ja mietittiin kaikenlaisia uusia tuotteita ja yksi idea, mikä meillä molemmilla oli, niin oli se, että etätyöskentely on sellainen, mikä tulee jatkossa olemaan ehkä isommin pinnalla. Tosin eihän me tiedetty siinä vaiheessa, että tämä tulevaisuus näyttää siltä, että muutaman kuukauden päästähän kaikki on etätöissä, että silloin ei vielä sitä tiedetty. Mutta sitten tosiaan kun korona alkoi, niin Business Finland antoi rahaa tämmöisiin hankkeisiin ja Adea sai tämmöisen tuen ja potkaistiin isommin tämä projekti käyntiin ja sitten käärittiin hihat ja alettiin hommiin. Tässä kaapissahan on semmoinen idea, että kun sä oot kotona töissä, niin yleensä kun ihmiset tekee etänä töitä, niin niillä on ihan järkyttävän huono ergonomia ja kaikki, missä ne tekee, niin ne makoilee sohvalla tai keittiön pöydällä, mikä on väärällä korkeuksella tai huonoilla tuoleilla, niin tässä oli semmoinen idea, että tehdään yhtä hyvä ergonomia kuin on konttoreissa tai työpaikalla niin kotiin, mutta niin, että se ei näytä siltä, että sulle on siirretty konttori kotiin. Focus-työpistekaapeissa, niin niissä on sellainen idea, että niissä on tosiaan nostettava pöytätaso, eli niin sanottu sähköpöytä, ja se sulkeutuu, sen saa sen pöydän kokonaan pois piiloon, jolloin ikään kuin kun sä suljet kaapin, niin sä teet työmatkan, tai kun sä avaat sen, niin sä teet työmatkan, eli pois silmistä, pois mielestä.
Welcome back to the studio. Mikko, thank you for sending us this movie presentation. We're sitting in front of his product Focus, which we've opened the doors to, which is very beautiful. But now we will turn into question and discussing the workplace of today and tomorrow. And with me, as I said earlier, I have these great minds. So I have Sonya Simmonds, Head of Workplace Design and Build at Spotify. Welcome. And I have Lena Lid-Falkman, researcher of the modern workplace at Stockholm School of Economics. So if we start with the workplace or the office in general, I mean, it's been under discussion for such a long time, and did we need a pandemic to really change the way we work?
I think probably not the way we work, but it's certainly been a time to reset and pause, think about what's important to us in our lives, and trying to knit together maybe the home and the office now is more kind of relevant. However, I think we've been changing the way that we worked before. We got into a routine of traveling a lot. Maybe we were away from our desk, and that causes the question to come up with real estate. Are we really using our one-to-one desk, or should we be using more of the office for different types of meeting? So I think it's been a question that many companies have been working with for a long time, to break away from the desk and meeting formula and then go back into a more comfortable area of socializing and collaborating. So it's opened up a lot, but I think it's maybe not the pandemic, but it's definitely told us that we need to reset and pause.
What's your view of this?
Yeah, the technology has gone through an evolution, but it's our way of work that is a revolution. And it has, as you said, gone on for quite some time, that we're not stuck. We have our work in our pocket, like we can travel with it, we can have it with us. That's what the revolution really is. But what the pandemic has made us do is to start using the technique that perhaps we didn't really use the way we could. We've been flexible and by, checking emails on the bus or on the subway or in front of the TV, but not like really used it for digital meetings, for example. So I wrote a book in 2014 about virtual meetings, and it's the first one in Swedish, and it's the worst selling book ever in that publishing company, because it was like people, I don't need to learn that, or you cannot do anything in a digital meeting because you need to really meet and travel and meet, and now it just happened. In 1 week, we all settled over to do everything virtually.
To work at home and work in one spot. But I think that also the focus has definitely gone on to or away from the desk. It used to be very much about ownership of my space in my office or the bigger office kind of environment. And now we suddenly realize, well, we have our area to focus at home. So maybe if we can knit the two together, get the kind of social collaboration from work, and cool people want to be together. They want to see cool stuff and hang out and be invigorated and kind of be collaborative, and that's why they go to work, to get these kind of creative moments. But if you can focus at home, if you can find a way to focus at home, then that's kind of one of the ingredients maybe for the future.
But if we look at this spring, there's already research showing how we enjoyed it, how we were affected physically and mentally, and also this autumn. What does research say?
Well, it did show that we were productive, efficient, that it worked. People missed, of course, collaborating, standing in front of a whiteboard, working together. But we do see figures slightly worse now in fall. I think it's a lot of things. The spring and summer was easier than the fall. We don't know when this ends. So it just moves forward. So we do need to not only to be executive, like to do this, what should we do, how should we do it, but also to have a lot of empathy with coworkers and to fix this home working place. Like when I did my interviews in my study this spring, it was apparent that people thought it worked to work from home, but it was a big difference to sit at home 1 day a week or an afternoon, to be home all the time. It doesn't work to sit at the kitchen table ergonomically. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I think that also that with the well-being, it's such a big thing to talk about now. I think normalizing it in the workplace is a great jump if we can do that. But just looking after each other and having empathy, I think it's brought us closer in the way that we could see each other's families, maybe. But it's also exposed,
cats.
and cats and dogs. The dogs are really the winners of these, right? Their humans are at home.
Yeah.
But I think that if you sort of backtracking to well-being, it's a super important subject also in the office. I think that you've got to realize that not everyone is the same. Not everyone needs, one size doesn't fit all effectively. And so if we can find a different kind of either a kit of parts that people could choose from or environments that people could choose from, focus areas are still needed at work just as much as collaborative areas. And I think if we can kind of knit a little bit of the comfort from home with the office and a little bit of the kind of I guess, collaborative and well-being, and don't forget about me just because I'm at home thing. I think that would be the perfect answer.
I also think a lot about two concepts that's been around for a long time in work-life science, and that is the strategies we have to separate or integrate work life with the rest of life. So it's integrators who can work anytime, anywhere, and separators who like to office hours and go to the office. And all this is renegotiated because we're at home.
Yeah.
So how do we find a flexibility and to take advantage of the flexibility, but without losing all our borders, so that everything is work everywhere, anywhere.
But what would you say is the main challenges in making this transition? I mean, it's been an abrupt transition into working from home, but if we see a future where we will work from home and the office, what are the main challenges in positioning that?
I think autonomy is a challenge for many companies. We've been working autonomously for quite a long time, so I don't think it's a challenge per se for us. But I think that autonomy and inclusiveness at the same time. So there has to be a really nice balance between obviously feeling part of something and why are you working for that company? Because you could just, if you're working at home and you've never been to that company or felt that kind of emotive feeling about why do you love this brand or why do you want to work for these people, then I think it's very difficult to be motivated. So without that, the kind of focus at work then dips a little bit more. So I think that the mix of just those two things is super important.
I would say leadership. Part of it is self-leadership, with the motivation, prioritizing, structuring, and helping people that does not have that self-management, disciplined, to really find support for that. So self-leadership is one part, and leadership is the other part, for leaders to focus on goals and results and not time. Time has been such an important... it's how we've counted work. But what if
sort
it's
of measurement?
Yeah, the measurements. It's been our dollar for work. But what if it's what you deliver, the quality and the being on time, but not the amount of time?
The flexibility.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be key, especially when you're working with different time zones, and now you have to knit in. I think for companies like ours who travel a lot, now we're not traveling at all, but we've also got families to look after and different aspects of our life. Your healthcare, your general kind of fitness and your well-being is very important. So knitting that in at a time that suits everyone. And then we're also conscious of when we go out and how we go out and how we both socially interact, but socially isolate. So I think that there's quite a lot going on kind of inside of our heads. Is it safe? Is it not safe? We want to go into safe environments, but there's a lot going on, a lot to unpack.
Very much so. But if you look at the responsibility of the employer, or as you mentioned, leadership, how can we help leaders and educate in this new way of thinking, which is almost a philosophical way of measuring, as you were mentioning? What's your thoughts on that?
I think about it as focusing on result, goal, and well-being. It has to be those two. How is it going, and how are you? Like those should be the mandatory questions every time. To just and it's a lot about like serving the colleagues and coworkers. What are you supposed to deliver? What am I expecting of you? So I think we would actually feel great, because we know from research, from self-leadership, that if we are aware of a clear goal and we can deliver, it lowers our cognitive stress and it enhances our performance. So there's a lot to gain by focusing on goals and supporting the self-management and supporting well-being.
I think just listening with a really empathetic heart to what is going on, and also not judging very quickly, understanding that this situation might be completely different from mine. I don't know what this person's situation is. Maybe they're not having a great time at home. Maybe they're not going to be able to complete this task within this time frame. So longer goals, I think, and really clear expectations, and communication, I think, is really key. So communicating in as lengthening the discussion. So, as you say, you can check in with someone, you can give them some kind of support.
And how do we need to adapt our homes? I mean, we were presented 2 pieces of furniture today, and I think we will see a lot of more innovations within the design industry and also maybe within architecture to think different. But how will we need to adapt them today? Can we give advice to people, or what are the suggestions?
I think that ergonomically we see issues with, as a general, I think that society sees issues with how people are sitting.
I felt like doing
yes,
this.
exactly, me too. I'm not sitting up straight. No, but I think that that's one thing that really kind of, the good thing about home is that you could choose maybe a different places to work if you're lucky enough and privileged enough to have that space. The bad thing is you tend to slouch in chairs which aren't ergonomic. You don't have height adjustable desks. So all of the kind of things that you were told in the workplace that were great for you, i.e. standing at desks and things like that, suddenly you can't do that. And you're working at your kitchen table and there's a bit of Weetabix on there and, whatever else. It's kind of like, and you're just thinking, oh God, do I really have to look at this all the time? So I think there is a pressure to kind of maintain your home to a higher standard, maybe, just to make you feel a bit better. But ergonomic help, I think, from outside could really help people. And then also, I think it would be great to up the lighting. Acoustically, your homes are pretty much quite good, so that's a good thing. But lighting, I think, would be great, and ergonomic furniture.
And do you think, or what do you think in terms of society? Where is the responsibility? Is it for the private person, or for the society, or for the company? How will we meet this new future?
I see it as shared. It cannot be in any other way, I think. It cannot
it's
be
a new
the company
situation.
responsibility for things in our home, but it cannot rely only on the co-workers either. So it has to be an ongoing conversation to subsidize, help out with furniture, something. Yeah,
and it could be also that the pandemic's told us something in that. There are learnings from it. It's that you can take. For example, maybe it's your responsibility to socially distance. It's your responsibility to look after yourself and to also kind of take a look at your environment now where you are living and working. How can you optimize that? Spatially as well. So I think. Definitely a mix. And it's great if your company can foster that and foster not just that, but the education of that.
And it must also be a kind of a big economic part also for companies, that if 20% of the employees work at home 1 day a week, you can reduce the size of the offices. So I guess that will be a big part of it that they see.
Yeah, maybe not just reducing the size, maybe changing it up. I think environmentally, we tend to, when we go on in life and we if we're lucky enough to have children, we morph our homes so many ways. We revisit pockets and cupboards and niches, and we should be doing the same with offices, I think. Just kind of reevaluating the space and really using what we have. And sustainability, I think, and flexibility can work together simultaneously like that.
But so if we look at the traditional office as it's been up until today, what will the role of the office be in the future, and how will that affect real estate and society in general?
And I think that with if you look back where offices started up, way back kind of pre-Victorian times, they started off in coffee shops and being in these kind of societies which were gathering people of like minds together. And I think that still remains, that need for a behaviour of collaboration and creation. I think that the future of the office, it's sort of gone through its cellular phase and then its open office phase, which kind of was a reaction to me wanting to own some space, and then a one-to-one or taking a certain ratio for each person. And I don't think that now, I think we've gone past that now, needing different areas to have different discussions. I think if we were all sitting in a meeting table, this discussion would be very different. So people yearn different environments to create different things. So I see the office going more into a social club, going more into that kind of that area where you can actually bring in different types of environments, and the cool restaurant that you went to, or the cool club that you went to, that could be infused in more into the office rather than being quite a sort of systemic variant between desk and office. And I think activity-based did cling on to that. But I think maybe working with environments or neighborhoods would help to make a cohesive part of that office.
I just think it's so interesting that offices are not supposed to look like offices. They're supposed to look like hotel lounges. And homes, are they now supposed to look like offices? No? No, like what's what? Where am I? It all blends. But I think that offices should be the social club. I really think that's why we want to go to the office, to get energy, to meet people. But I don't think it can be reduced to like a conference place. It also need to have those focus areas. You do need to go somewhere where you can actually like focus.
Yeah, and that comes back to your empathy. I think that not everyone has the same situation. It might be fantastic if you live in a 4-bedroom house and your kids go off to school and you've suddenly got, wow, you've got all this space. But actually, if you don't have all of that space, or if you feel uncomfortable at home and you're not moving from home and having any journey within your day, it might feel like, actually, I do want to just go into another space and focus. And I think that this hub and spoke, which many companies are kind of talking about, having the third space. What is that third space, and how does that kind of enact? That might be quite an interesting. I've heard a lot of press about that lately. How do you reinvigorate? Now we're in our own local environment. We're for the first time dropping our kids off and then kind of staying there. We're not dropping our kids off and then going off to LA. So I think it's really interesting to kind of try and reinvigorate our local environment and have a bit of a look around. Butchers, fishmongers, all of those kind of things could flourish again. So I think there's a really great amount of innovation that can grow from this.
So this third space, it could also be as in like co-working spaces and small hubs and such, or do you think more of the local community?
I think it varies for every company, and I think that there's so much research out there that's being done and looked into by various real estate managers. I think that there are just so many options in that sense, and whilst we don't travel, we should maybe think of, that's had a very good sustainable input, obviously, for our planet. So I think that will also start to create something in people's minds. Do I need to travel? Do I need to go so far to be able to do the work that I need to do? And it will also have, I think, an important impact on hiring. So we will be able to hire much more equitably, hiring disabled, hiring neurodiverse. I think it will have like a big opening onto all of that kind of palette. So
and that is so
positive.
Cool. What if we could have technology work for us? Like, what if we don't have to think about geography at all when we recruit? Only competence. Doesn't matter where you live. Like, I want your mind.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So distributed companies, we do have that already, but that's been like programming, high-tech companies. But could there be others that is inspired of this, so we can actually live where we want to, close to nature, have a couple of hens, loads of kids, and still have a high qualified work and not having to live like in a central big city.
Yeah, because I wanted to finish off with that particular question, actually looking at it in a societal point of view, which you just mentioned a bit, living in a different way, which has been upon us the whole time, but it's really opening up in a different way. Do you have any more philosophical kind of view on how it will affect society? I know it's a hard question.
No, I really hope that it makes everything more equitable, and that people open up and feel that this is much more normalized to be able to talk about, both mental well-being, but also opening up a bigger palette of availability for resources, and also looking at our own local environments and sourcing locally on a sustainable level. I don't know if that answered the question, but
yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm thinking a lot about having it work for us. not the other way around. So it can adapt to individuals. And we don't have to like fit so hard into different sections. So what if people work super hard for 4 hours and then need to sleep during the day? Or what if
we could bring back napping? That
wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, siesta.
Yeah, I think that's great. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. It was really interesting to hear you, and thank you for your time. And I also want to thank you for listening to this digital press viewing, which was very interesting. I must say, just going back to the pieces of furniture, they will already be available on Monday, starting at Lena in Stockholm. So if you want to go and see them, they will be there. We will end this talk with a small film showing the Minister of Trade and Industry, Mika Lintilä, in Finland when he was presented with these 2 pieces of furniture last week. Thank you so much.
Huomenta.
Hyvää huomenta.
Hyvää huomenta.
Olen Esa Mäki-Talo Adeasta.
Hauska tutustua.
Kuin myös. Tietysti haluttaisiin näyttää teille nämä
Joo.
tuotteet, mitä me ollaan tehty.
Ilman muuta.
Me ollaan Kauhealla toimiva yritys, ollaan 61 vuoden juuret.
Ja siinä päästiin jo niin kuin johonkin siihen pisteeseen silloin, että se pitäisi olla kaluste, mikä menee nyt kotiin, koska yleensä työpaikkakalusteet, niin ei niitä kukaan kotiin halua. Yksi iso idea tässä on tietysti se, että tästä tulee kodin kaluste ja kukaan ei edes tiedä, että siellä on työpaikka ja sä itsekin unohdat sen.
Sehän on vaarallista, jos itsekin unohtaa.
Nämä perinteiset hissipyörät ei mene tarpeeksi alas.
Niin, se tuli
Tässä on myös sit se, että tämä menee todella alaskin.
Mä oon aina pitänyt sitä tuotekehitys on meillä se pyhä lehmä, eikä viimeiseksi kosketu. Se on niin se, millä kuitenkin luodaan se tulevaisuuden kasvun mahdollisuus.